Section 14. Aggression. Introduction. In this lecture, we will consider aggression as conceptualized in psychology. What differences exist in gender on aggression, while also noting the relationship between frustration and aggression. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, students should be able to explain the concept of motivation to relate frustration and aggression. What is aggression? What exactly is aggression? The term tends to generate a certain amount of confusion because a layperson's concept of aggression differs somewhat from what social psychologists study. In day-to-day life, we hear about the aggressive salesperson who will not take no for an answer and the aggressive business person who stops at nothing to win a promotion. These usages convey forceful, overbearing, or overly assertive behavior. Aggression, in its broadest sense, is behavior or a disposition that is forceful, hostile, or attacking. It may occur either in retaliation or without provocation. In narrower definitions that are used in social sciences and behavioral sciences, aggression is an intention to cause harm or an act intended to increase relative social dominance. Predatory or defensive behavior between members of different species may not be considered aggression in the same sense. Aggression can take a variety of forms and can be physical or be communicated verbally or non-verbally. Aggression differs from what is commonly called assertiveness, although the terms are often used interchangeably among lay people, e.g., an aggressive salesperson. Social psychologists, however, define aggression as any behavior that is intended to inflict harm, whether psychological or physical, on another organism or object. There are several important things to note about this definition. First, a crucial element of the definition is intent. A person must have intended to harm in order for the act to be classified as aggressive. If someone deliberately hits a neighbor with a baseball bat during an argument, it is considered aggressive. If the person accidentally hit the neighbor with a baseball bat while playing ball in the yard, it is not considered aggressive. Gender differences in aggression. One of the most striking features of aggression is the difference in its expression by males and females. Certainly, females can be aggressive, but males show higher levels of physical aggression. This is true among humans. A meta-analysis by John Archer, 2004, on studies investigating real-world aggression, that is, self-reported aggression, peer ratings of aggression, and observational methods confirm that males are more aggressive than females, especially for direct aggression, e.g., physical aggression. The gender difference was also consistent across cultures. Archer also found that females use more indirect aggression, e.g., social ostracism, but only during late childhood and adolescence and when an observational method was used. There are multiple theories that seek to explain findings that males and females of the same species can have differing aggressive behavior. In general, sexual dimorphism can be attributed to greater intraspecific competition in one sex, either between rivals for access to mate and or to be chosen by mate. This may stem from the other gender being constrained by providing greater parental investment in terms of factors such as gamete production, gestation, lactation, or upbringing of young. Although there is much variation in species, generally the more physically aggressive sex is the male, particularly in mammals. In species where parental care by both sexes is required, there tends to be less of a difference. When the female can leave the male to care for the offspring, then females may be the larger and more physically aggressive. Competitiveness, despite parental investment, has also been observed in some species. A related factor is the rate at which males and females are able to mate again after producing offspring, and the basic principles of sexual selection are also influenced by ecological factors affecting the ways or extent to which one sex can compete for the other. The role of such factors in human evolution is controversial. The pattern of male and female aggression is argued to be consistent with evolved sexually selected behavioral differences, while alternative or complementary views emphasize conventional social roles stemming from physical evolved differences. Aggression in women may have evolved to be, on average, less physically dangerous and more covert or indirect. However, there are critics for using animal behavior to explain human behavior, especially in the application of evolutionary explanations to contemporary human behavior, including differences between the genders. The frustration-aggression link. In its original form, the frustration-aggression hypothesis states that aggression is always a consequence of frustration. The occurrence of aggressive behavior always presupposes the existence of frustration, and contrariwise, the existence of frustration leads to some form of aggression. Dollard et al., 1984. In other words, according to the frustration-aggression hypothesis, when we are frustrated, we behave aggressively. Frustration can vary in strength depending on three factors. Dollard et al., 1984. The first is the strength of the original drive. If you are very hungry, for example, and are deprived of a snack, your frustration will be greater than if you are only slightly hungry. The second factor is the degree to which the goal-directed behavior is thwarted. The third factor is the number of frustrated responses. If your thwarted attempt to get a snack came on the heels of another frustrating event, your frustration would be greater. Once we are frustrated, what do we choose as a target? Our first choice is the source of our frustration. Dollard et al., 1984. The vending machine in our example, but sometimes aggression against the source of frustration is not possible. The source may be a person in a position of power over us, such as our boss. When direct aggression against the source of aggression is blocked, we may choose to vent our frustration against another safer target, a son, perhaps. If we have a bad day at work or school, we may take it out on an innocent roommate or family member when we get home. This process is called displaced aggression. Dollard et al., 1984. Displaced aggression is influenced by the following factors. Marcus Newhall, Peterson, Carlson, and Miller, 2000. 1. Intensity of the original provocation. The higher the intensity, the less the displacement. 2. Similarity between the original and displaced target. The higher the similarity, the greater the displacement. 3. The negativity of the interaction between the individual and original target. The more negative the interaction, the greater the displacement. Although the original frustration-aggression hypothesis stated categorically that frustration always leads to aggression, acts of frustration-based aggression can be inhibited. Dollard et al., 1984. If there is a strong possibility that your aggressive behavior will be punished, you may not react aggressively to frustration. If a campus security guard was standing beside the vending machine, for example, you probably wouldn't kick it for fear of being arrested. This is the end of study section 14. Thanks for listening.